morning, everyone. It's always a little jarring to hear recording in progress. A little trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about death this morning. So if that's a hard topic for you, I understand. And it's okay if you need to log off. So one of the things about Zen, I think, that often, I don't know, maybe people think is morbid, is that we kind of just talk about death. You know, we deal with it directly. In fact, the issue of life and death is called the great matter in Zen. And it's sort of central to our practice. There's a saying that, often later in life, people might come to Zen so they can prepare to die. And I guess that could be useful. I like to think that, as Okamura Roshi said, that studying Zen and really understanding what death is allows us to really understand what life is for. And when someone we care about dies, it's a jarring experience in lots of different ways and very painful, of course. And also can be a real wake-up call for us. There's it's not specifically a Zen teaching, but a Buddhist teaching about the 5 messengers. And it sort of harkens back to Shakyamuni Buddha's experience of seeing an old person, an ill person, a corpse, and those experiences moved him, helped him to see that impermanence is the reality of life, and that kind of spurred him on his spiritual journey. So the 5 messengers are, or divine messengers, are kind of, ordinary human beings we might encounter that wake us up to the reality of impermanence and help us to realize that outcomes don't matter. We already know what the outcomes are going to be. There's no way to escape old age, no way to escape illness, no way to escape death, no way to escape the consequences of our actions. And the 5 messengers are a newborn baby is the first one. So if you've ever seen a newborn baby and how innocent and wonderful they are, it's amazing to see that life and innocence and that potential. And right inside that, though, is the knowledge that that little innocent baby is not going to stay innocent forever. And as new and wonderful as they are, they're they won't escape illness, old age, and death. The second of the divine messengers is a very, very old person. So imagine somebody who is, in their 90s, and you can sort of see time has taken its toll. And when you're around elderly folks, it sort of reminds you that we're not going to be here forever, and that that's going to be us someday if we're lucky. So don't waste your time. If you can do things now when you still have the ability, you might want to start doing them now and not put them off. because we're going to lose certain abilities just naturally as we get older. The third of the divine messengers is a corpse. And back, well, not too long ago, in just normal life, especially in Shakyamuni's day, it wasn't uncommon to come into contact with corpses. And there are certainly places in the world right now where that's not uncommon either. But it's more jarring for us these days because we're, especially in our society, we're so insulated from it. But when we see someone who has passed away, or even just hear about it, it wakes us up. It reminds us, we're not here forever. And invites us to sort of wake up to the reality of our lives and how we're living. What are we doing with our time? Is that what we want to be doing? Is that what we could be doing? Is that the most important thing? The fifth divine messenger is seeing someone who's really paying a high price for their actions. So it could be someone who is incarcerated or something like that after being convicted rightfully for things they have done. Could be someone who has made a really selfish bad judgment and they're kind of suffering from the consequences. And when we see someone like that, if we can sort of step away from kind of the man-made ideas of justice, we can see that it's very human to do things motivated by greed, anger, and ignorance that cause not only suffering to those around us, but to ourselves. So it's a wake-up call to pay attention to our own behavior and the consequences of it. So I've been thinking a lot about the divine messengers this week because last Sunday, one of my best friends, Kevin, passed away from a heart attack. And I found out about this on the way home. My wife and I were driving home and she saw a message on Facebook. And Kevin was the kind of friend who, we didn't see each other a ton, but we kind of just picked up right where we left off. And he was a musician and an incredibly funny person. He was also the kind of person who would ask you these just really insightful questions about what was going on in your life that made you stop and think. And he would wait for your answers and then thank you for taking the time to answer. And we'd have these moments where we'd have these ridiculous inside jokes that no one else would ever think was funny. And then right after, we'd have these really deep, meaningful conversations. I feel like Kevin was one of the only people in my life to really get me, and I think he felt the same way. And we were going to get together this summer, but that's not going to happen now. And it's interesting, I've been kind of noticing my reactions this past week around kind of thinking about Kevin being gone, and of course there's been sadness, as you would expect. There's also been this very strong sense of, the outcomes don't matter. I know I certainly spend more time than I would like to admit focused on, am I good enough? Is this gonna be good enough? Where are things going? And, my Zazen practice, I work hard to let go of those things. So it's a practice. We never completely let go. But we can keep practicing. And I think that's why I'm so grateful to have been, had the good fortune to be introduced to Zen, because it's a way that we can really look deeply into the fact that no matter what we do in this life, we're going to lose. And when, like, on the one hand, that's kind of a bummer, but on the other hand, it's very liberating, because if we're going to lose anyway, we can make the game about something else. When I was thinking about Kevin and thinking about him being gone and thinking about impermanence yesterday, I had this this memory of playing hockey, street hockey, when I was a kid. I haven't thought about that in a long time. And, you know, we would play for hours, and I don't remember the final score of any of the games we played. It was just so cool to be able to put on my skates and get out there and play. And, you know, if our team let up a goal, we just we used a hockey ball. We fished the ball out of the net, and we just like took another face off and kept playing. And I didn't care really who won. Nobody did. We just cared about, like, we get to do this. We get to play. And I think, you know, that's what Kevin loved to do. He loved to play. He loved to play music. He loved to joke. Sometimes the play was sort of serious. Like, he would be, like, curious and interested when we'd have talks about tough discussions. He was a social worker also. Worked with folks who had substance use issues. When he played music, he also had just a lot of fun with it. His favorite thing to do was sing Prince songs at karaoke, and he could get the high notes. There's a video of him out there somewhere playing. He was a guitar player, playing Purple Rain, getting all the high notes and nailing the solos. I mean, he's just an amazing person, but you would never know it, very unassuming. One of my favorite songs that he wrote many years ago is called The Getaway, and I'll see if I can find a link to it and maybe post it along with this video when I do that. But he wrote that song, and the song's on an album after his father passed away. So he was kind of in a pretty introspective place. And you know, the opening lyrics are, "Get me off of this couch, get me out of this bed, tell me how to address the thoughts that plague me. I'm awaiting my sentence from the big man upstairs. Where I once had big plans, now he reels me in." And at the end of the song, he says, "Left a note on the desk. It said that I tried my best. I left a number to call in case of emergencies. It's the psychic hotline." So he had a great sense of humor too. But the thing is, you know, Kevin, I think he wasn't perfect, but one of the things I always appreciated about him is he lived a great life. He had a wife. He had 2 kids. He had so many people who loved him because he was just him. And, you know, so Master Dõgen and Genjo Koan give some advice about life and death. And so it's pretty straightforward advice. It's a practice, though. It's not easy advice to follow. He said, "In life there is nothing other than life. In death there is nothing other than death. Therefore, when life comes, just live. And when death comes, just die. Neither avoid them nor desire them." So, you know, when life comes, just live. When death comes, just die. The outcomes, they're really not ultimately important. Another one of my favorite musicians, Chris Cornell, also who passed away, once said, "To be yourself is all that you can do." So I'm very grateful that all of you are here today, and I got a chance to practice with you today. And see maybe if you're kind of holding on to outcomes. An outcome is a kind of death if you think about it. It's over. It's finished. And if you're clinging to outcomes, it's like you're trying to die before it's time to die. And if you're trying to die before it's time to die, maybe it's worthwhile to shift back into living when it's time to live.